usual. James will open the presentations with an insight onto how citizen science can support the EU soil mission, and he's going to draw on a little bit of an overview of his crops project that is a EU-funded project. After that, we will hear from two of our COP members, Radu and Joanna. Radu is with Soil Mission Knowledge and Joanna is with Living Soil Lab. So after this, we would like to join a reflection about citizen science and how can this really be helpful to improve soil health. So about the joint reflection, this part is meant to be a little interactive. So we encourage everyone to share their experiences and perspectives. So be free to always share what's going on your mind. We will open the floor for questions and wrap up by summarizing the key points of the meeting and the best practices that we can highlight from our session. Finally, we would like to close up with a brief update on the upcoming events that we have, like next meetups and other opportunities to stay involved in our tribe. I believe that's the flow for today. Of course, like I said, feel free to participate at any time throughout the session. So before we really dive into anything, I would like to start with a quick interactive question. What is citizen science? My colleague is going to drop a poll in the chat, and we'll give you a few seconds to answer the question, and then we'll give you guys the answer. So feel free to vote. Okay, so I believe that's enough time. Let's see if you guys got it right. Right answer is B. Citizen science is a process where people can contribute to scientific research and data collection. But if you got it wrong, don't worry, we're going to learn more about this during the session. So before we really go in, I would like to talk a little bit about SoilTribes. SoilTribes began in January 2025. As you know, it's a 3-year initiative. It brings 25 partners from 11 countries across this period of 3 years to work together. We're going to host 14 meetups, and this is the first one. This idea behind SoilTribes is simple. It's to protect and generate our soil by bringing people together. So we work through knowledge. We share a lot of knowledge between partners, emotional connection, and we focus on action. So what we want is for people to see soil not just as an ecological resource, but as something that's underpins our culture, our economy, and overall our well-being. SoilTribes focuses on building and strengthening these, we would say, local ecosystems, connecting local communities with global expertise. We use science, technology, and even art sometimes to bring soil back into the spotlight and to restore its value. With experts from different sectors working side by side, we are now creating a space for innovation and collaboration. At the center of it all is our community of practice that we thank so much for being here. This multi-actor approach that brings together people with very different backgrounds. So the goal is to co-create solutions, improve the literacy of the soil, and support healthier soils. The whole project revolves around 4 pillars, as you know: academy, business, government, and society. And each one of these is playing a very crucial role building a more sustainable and more connected future for our soils. So we really appreciate you guys being here. So I would like now to really begin by introducing our special speakers. We are thrilled to have James from Earthwatch Europe. He will be discussing scaling citizen science for the European Union Soil Mission with the CROPS project, which is crucial for advancing soil health and policy across Europe. We also have Radu, he's a researcher from IVLU, and Joanna, that is the author of Living Soils Labs. These last two are our COP members. They will be presenting their own projects, and they are be giving us a bit of more enlightenment about the knowledge and the uses of citizen science in their own projects. So before we begin the presentations, I would like our speakers to introduce themselves and share a little bit of their background with everyone a little bit, if you guys don't mind.
Yeah, hi. So I'm James Sprinks. As Sarah said, I work for Earthwatch Europe. So Earthwatch Europe is a environmental NGO based in Oxford in the UK. So as part of that, we do a lot of citizen science projects around environmental health. So from soil to water to air pollution and everything in between. My background is nothing to do with soil. So after the talk, please don't ask me anything about soil. My background is purely within citizen science and the human factors around its design. So looking at engagement, motivation, education, data collection, and all those sort of things around that. The crops projects I'll go into a bit later, but yeah, we've got a lot of EU projects through Earthwatch, and so we do a lot of citizen science work.
Thank you so much, James. Yes, Radu, please.
Yeah. Thanks, Sarah. My name is Radu Giurgiu. I'm a researcher and project manager at ILVO in Flanders in Belgium. It's a research institute on agriculture, fisheries and food. And in my unit, we work more on the data platform, data spaces and precision farming. And I'm also coordinating the SoilWise project, which is also a mission soil project that's aiming to develop a sort of one-stop shop for all soil information. And this platform will become part of European Soil Observatory. I will talk a bit more about this later. I'm also not a soil scientist. I work closely with a lot of soil scientists. My background is from agronomy and also controlled environment agriculture, and work now together with a lot of IT people in this department. I'm happy to be here, and I'm very fond in citizen science, but I admire people that take this challenge and working. I know it's far from easy thing to do and manage, but I'm a great fan of this approach to getting to make citizens participating in research challenges.
Thank you so much, Radu. Now, Joanna, if you don't mind.
Hello, everyone. Thank you to invite us to talk in this meetup. I'm Joanna Mersch. I'm the initiator of Living Soils Lab, and I'm also the co-founder of Umarel, which is a nonprofit hosting this initiative. Umarel is a collective empowering citizens to shape and steward the urban commons, including soils. So our work in citizen science is more linked towards access to the land, access to inclusive city in general. So I'm not also a soil scientist, but I have a background in social science and cultural mediation, which also have a link to what I will present later on what we do at the Living Soils Lab. Also, I'm based in Pantin, which is just nearby Paris on the outskirts. Thank you.
Thank you so much to all the speakers. Now, you can either take control of the presentation or you can share your own. It's up to you. James, I don't know if you have a way, if you want to do it, take control or share yours.
I'll take control if I can.
Okay, I'll share it with you. 1 second.
Technology, okay. Dun, dun, dun. Okay.
So feel free to take control.
Yeah, here we go. Perfect. Can everyone see that?
Yes.
Lovely. Okay then, well, firstly, thanks for the invite to talk at this session. It's really good to see what's going on in the soil mission space. As I said, I'm not a soil scientist myself, so I work more on the citizen side of things and how we can contribute to the mission. So it's good to make this link. So I'm just going to do a little presentation on the Crops project, which is a project that was tasked with scaling up citizen science to contribute not only to the soil mission, but to all 5 of the EU missions, which obviously you'll probably know. There's a water one, there's a climate adaptability one, there's lots of the 5 different missions out there. There's a health one, which we struggle with the most. But this talk is obviously focusing on the soil one. So we just had that question about what is citizen science, which was 99% correct. It is people doing or contributing towards science, but the important thing to point out as part of that is in a non-professional way. So obviously there's a lot of professional scientists out there that are contributing data and forwarding science, but this is people doing it as amateurs, as volunteers, to help out. So as I just said, citizen science is public collaboration, it's researchers, it's industry, it's policymakers working with the general public to collect data, to analyze data, in some cases to even co-design scientific problems in order to forward science. It is real research. In the last 10 years, the sort of reticence to using it. So to begin with, in the citizen science realm, there's a lot of expert opinion that you couldn't trust the data, that maybe it is a flawed methodology because these people aren't experts, how do you validate the data and so on. But that position is changing to see citizen science as a real methodological approach to deal with scientific problems. And also, it's important for a successful citizen science project that there are shared goals. The community you're working with, the volunteers that are helping you out, you should have a shared understanding of the objectives of the project and how it benefits them as well as the science as well. So you want some shared goals. Why now? So citizen science probably, I mean, realistically started 100 years ago. Things like the Christmas bird count in America and so on have been going on for centuries, where the public have gone out and counted bird spottings and so on. But in the last 10 to 15 years, oh, I've got a hand up.
Oh,
Marta?
yes, so sorry. We are just seeing the same one from the beginning. I don't know if it was supposed to.
Okay, Sarah, I'm moving them, but they're not moving.
Yes, sorry. I thought it was not supposed to be like that. So.
Is that better?
Yeah, now it's moving. Perfect, thank you.
Okay,
Sorry to interrupt.
That was my fault. So in the last 10 years, citizen science has really advanced, and this is mostly because of technology. So in a digital world, everyone is much more connected. Therefore, it is a lot easier for people to contribute data, right? So they've got smartphones, they're online. Everything can be asynchronous. Everything can be sort of people can be in their own locations and contribute data to a central place through this technology. So it's really accelerated the use of citizen science. There's also societal drivers. At the moment, in the current political climate, there's a lot of distrust in science, driven by a political agenda, of course. But so it's a really powerful way of getting the public involved with science, understanding the scientific method, and actually being able to sort of see that science is a trustworthy sort of way of gathering data and forming policy. So there's these 2 drivers that have really pushed citizen science and made it grow quite a lot. So moving on to a bit of the soil, as I said, I'm not a soil scientist, so I'll try and go over this a bit quickly, but soil matters for lots of different reasons. I'm sure everyone here knows that. It's food production, biodiversity, it can store carbon, it can filtrate water. It has lots of different processes that are very important to human life and other life, of course. But of course, a lot of this is not obvious to the public. A lot of this is not intuitive to the public. When the public sees soil, they don't know if it's good or bad health necessarily, that it's not high in their agenda in terms of their life, the struggles that they're going through on day to day. Soil health is not something that leaps out of people. It's not like human health, where it's very obvious to see if it's good or bad, potentially. It's quite a strange thing for the general public, potentially, to think about soil in terms of its health. So that's something that citizen science can deal with. Are you still seeing the right slides?
We are seeing the same one.
Right, so it's not working.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't know what's going on.
Okay, I'll just share my screen then.
Maybe it's best. I'm sorry for this
No,
inconvenience.
it's technology. Can you see that?
Yes.
Yes, we can see.
All right, let me just quickly click through. Okay, so I can't see you anymore. So if you put your hand up or anything, tough, I can't see you. So Sarah, please shout if you need to say anything. But yeah. So we've got this silent crisis of EU soils, which the mission is trying to address. So this number varies, but at the moment there's a sort of claim of 60 to 70% of soil is unhealthy in Europe at the moment, and has lots of key threats around erosion, pollution, loss of carbon, and compaction and sealing through sort of human activity. Of course, defining what healthy soil is quite a challenge in different parts of Europe. So from Southern Europe in Spain up to sort of the peat bogs of Ireland, there's very different compositions of soil, and what is healthy and what isn't is a bit of a challenge for the mission. And obviously there's other projects around there looking at that. So yeah, to sort of start dealing with this estimated 70% problem of bad soil, this mission, the Soil Deal for Europe, was created, and it has several goals. As you probably know, there's 100 living labs to be created looking at test soil health and solutions. So living labs are sort of a community-based approach with lots of different stakeholders looking at potential solutions to the issue. A key objective is to increase soil literacy. So as I was saying before, soil health is not a very easy thing perhaps for the general public to understand. So the mission wants to increase literacy in that and understand how soil health links to other parts of communities that can have a knock-on effect. And obviously, perhaps the key one is to restore and protect soil health, to try and improve, reduce this 70% number to a more acceptable figure. So citizen science obviously can really help this and can really support the mission. Soil can be very hyper-local, for instance. So as I just mentioned, it changes across Europe as to what defines healthy and unhealthy soil. It can also change within meters or miles of each other in small regions. So at the moment, I mean, I did a quick look. It's estimated there's about 3,000 soil scientists in the EU. So obviously this is not enough people to sort of capture this complexity, these differences on a geographical scale. So citizens can help do that. You can have local communities contributing soil health data in areas where it's just not practical for scientists to be. They can then, of course, this will, in a knock-on effect, increase public awareness. So by taking part in these in this process, in collecting soil health data, people will start to understand what this data means and what and the effects of having poor soil health. So there's these two sort of good things that make this a great match. So current citizen science projects around soil health do lots of different things. They can measure soil pH and texture, simple biodiversity projects that can look at counting different types of flora and fauna in specific areas. They can look at land use and how that connects to soil health. There are lots of projects that use simple test kits for nutrients and so on. Hello? Sorry, did someone want to say something? No? Okay. And then there's broader things, so sort of man-made events around soil erosion that some projects are looking at. Some examples, I mean, we're going to hear from a few projects after my talk, but just to show you some of the different types of projects that are out there. So crops, we've surveyed over 100 soil mission related projects. So there's things like the ECHO project, which is about building a big data repository for soil health. There's things like Soil Health Guards, which is a Serbian project, which is very localized and looking at co-creating solutions for soil monitoring and so on. And there's sort of more standardized approaches like the T-Bag Index, which is just sort of something you can use anywhere globally, that looks at measuring the rate of decomposition of soil. So it's a very simple test. The idea being that you can replicate this test in lots of different different locations very simply. So these projects have lots of different sort of faces to them and take on lots of different approaches. I said before, citizen sciences goes much beyond data collection. So it's all about engagement, education, and building the soil literacy that's key to the mission. So we have a lot of challenges, though. So while what I've painted is all very rosy, citizen science engages all these people. It can contribute to the missions, the soil mission. It can help educate people on the science and so on. But there are lots of challenges around making that connection actually work and be worthwhile. So one of those problems is the data problem. Currently, citizen science is very sort of ring fence. We have thousands of projects dotted all over Europe that are doing very similar things that don't necessarily talk to each other. So we end up with these little sort of hotspots of data in hundreds of different sort of spreadsheets and hundreds of different data repositories that aren't really being linked up. So we need to really see how we make that interoperable, how we make sure that all these projects are sort of working with each other to a common goal, if possible. There's this variability. So with all these projects, there's also a variability in methods of measuring different things. So it's very important that we have the right metadata that goes with the data, that explains how things were done, what protocols were followed, how the data is presented, and so on. And then there's always, and this is always a problem for citizen science data, is the quality and the validation. So obviously people, although there is training that takes part in a lot of projects, these people are not professionals in what they were doing. They might not have any knowledge of soil before they take part in the project. And so we need robust ways of validating the data, ensuring the quality, and filtering out any noise that is there, and any biases, of course. So as I said, there's a large sort of fragmented landscape at the moment. The majority of projects, this is sort of a recent survey done, but the majority of projects are contributory. So it's just people sort of on their own uploading data to a specific platform in a sort of disconnected way. There's a lot less projects that are collaborative and co-created, like the Serbia project I mentioned earlier, where communities come together and actually create the methods for which to do this. And maybe there is a need to do that to make sure that we're less fragmented as an approach. So the scalability challenge, which is really what the crops project which I lead is really trying to address. So how do we grow from sort of 10 people in a village doing something to 10,000 people collecting data that can actually contribute to the global issues of the EU mission? So first we'll look at what scaling really means. So the old idea of scaling, of course, is just growing, more participants, more data points, more geographic coverage. This has lots of challenges, of course, in terms of engaging people. So is a problem in one area the same as a problem in another area? The cultural issues, there's infrastructure issues with growing in terms of number of participants, data points, and so on. So we're trying to move in crops to this new idea of scaling, where it's not just about growing, which is important. Of course, data is important, and filling data gaps is important. It's also about scaling the impact and engagement. So we want to move towards a more collaborative approach of citizen science, where people are empowered and invested in what we're doing, that the science is democratized, so we co-create what we're doing, and we ensure everyone is on board and has a shared common goal. Linked to this is, of course, ensuring data is fair. So all the data we want to create in citizen science projects is shared with everyone. We sort of move away from these silos of lots of different data places, and we sort of share everything together. And then when you get to that stage where we've got a sort of joined up thinking and a sort of shared goal, that's where you can actually start implementing policy in terms of actually being able to show the power of this movement and influencing soil policy and contributing to the mission goals. So there's lots of hurdles to this. There's recruitment and retention. So citizen science is often very long-tailed. So in the first month is when you'll get 80% of your data, and then you'll just slowly watch it die off because it's very hard to retain people. So that's always been a challenge for citizen science in the last 15, 20 years, and it's still something that is difficult to deal with. There's the technology and data issue. A lot of these projects, especially geographically centered projects around soil health, where you need to collect location data and so on, we need to ensure that's open source. We need to ensure it's interoperable, and we also need to ensure that it's accessible. So there are still a lot of regions in Europe where signal is difficult, where mobile access is not as high as other places. So these are things that we really have to consider. And then the biggest problem, I think, especially at the sort of EU project level, is sustainability. I mean, I'm sure a lot of us in this room are used to working on this 3 to 4 year cycle of projects. And quite often, once that project ends and the funding stops, it sort of dies a death on a hard drive somewhere. And we need to start moving away from this sort of 3 year cycle into longer term sustainability of these projects. This is something that we've got to sort of, I think, address at policy level about how we try and grow these, make these projects sustainable in the long term. So quickly, I know I'm running out of time, but the solution, the CROPS project. So CROPS, as was mentioned before, is a Horizon Europe project, and its name says it all. So we're looking at curating, replicating, orchestrating, and propagating citizen science across Europe to contribute to the 5 EU missions, the soil one being one of them. So by curating, that's this process where we have surveyed over 500 citizen science projects to look at what their strengths are, what their problems are, and trying to sort of address that. The replicating is taking these strengths and these methodologies and sharing them more widely to try and reduce this sort of siloing effect of all the projects. Orchestrating is where we're building networks of transnational citizen science communities, where we try and sort of collaborate and join up all our thinking towards the missions rather than acting alone. Propagating this then out to all stakeholders, including EU mission policymakers, local policymakers, national policymakers, industry, and so on. I've just mentioned all that. So the biggest sort of outcomes that we have is we have this scalability assessment framework. So the 500 projects that we've reviewed has gone through this assessment framework of 9 different factors, which will sort of you're rated against to see how scalable you are. So things like having a community and champions that are pushing your projects, it's having narratives and communication that resonate with the local community. It's ease of use and understanding of what you're doing, openness in terms of the data you produce, and so on. So there's these 9 different factors that we've used to assess if a project is scalable and growable in order to address the mission goals. We also have a number of resources for each mission for people that are interested in running a citizen science project or taking part, that look at which give you lots of information about how to scale your project and what you and any support that's out there to do that. So as I said, I'm not a soil scientist. CROPS doesn't run a soil lab, but we're aiming to sort of provide an operating system to help communities like the 100 Living Labs and projects around soil health to answer these sort of scalability questions. So what is the best way to train our volunteers, and how do we replicate that training in different scenarios in different cultures? How do we make sure our data is shareable on larger EU level and scientific databases that already exist, and with other networks that already exist that perhaps aren't familiar with citizen science but would like to use the data? And then, yeah, how do we deal with this issue with long-term engagement and make that something that is sustainable? So yes, our key focus areas in crops is data interoperability, stakeholder engagement, and training resources. These are the three things we're really trying to build on to grow citizen science projects to the sort of larger scale in order to address the goals. So the future of soil, from data collection to co-creation. So we had a crop symposium at a conference a few years ago, and we got this really interesting quote from one of the participants that says, "Truly upscaled citizen science relies on empowered and invested citizens, not just sheer numbers." So it's really important that you're really involving the volunteers in the full scientific process, and they feel really invested in the data, what it's used for, and the impact it can have on the mission. So this is a really important thing we need to achieve. So what can we do, or what can people do in order to sort of contribute to the EU mission? You can join a project, of course. We've surveyed over 100. The CROPS website, which I'll share later, has a list of these 100 projects that you can take part in, and so on. You can engage with your local living lab as and when they start to emerge. A big thing, I think, with citizen science is the education aspect. So we run a MOOC, a massive online something, whatever course, for teachers that trains teachers to use citizen science as part of their curriculum, and use it as part of the classroom. And yeah, be a champion of soil literacy and the citizen science process. So we're trying to form these transnational communities to really push the use of citizen science towards the missions, including the soil health mission, and show the power it can be. So from the ground up, so we've got the health soil as the foundation. We've got citizens-led monitoring to provide the data, and then the hope is that CROPS provides the framework to scale that and to have impact on the mission. So that's sort of our sort of three-step approach to each of the missions. So thanks for your time. I'm just on time, I think. Please visit the website if you want any more information. It will list all the projects there that are linked to each of the 5 missions, including soil. There's an opportunity there to sign up to our transnational spaces. If you want to take part, we have a special interest group that is looking at citizen science and its use towards the EU goals. So again, please visit the website, have a look, and yeah, thanks for your time.
Thank you, James. I don't know if anyone has questions for James. Sarah?
Sorry, I was thinking by mistake.
So I think if no one has nothing to say, Radu, please, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Actually, I have questions for James, but maybe we'll leave it for the discussion. I think,
perfect.
yeah, it was a very inspiring presentation, and I think a lot of overlaps with what I will present, which is maybe not likely very related with citizen science, but I think we'll see why is this overlap and why I also present today. So today I will present a little bit about the SoilWise project. As I said, we are building like a platform, a one-stop shop for the soil information in Europe, which will be part of the European Soil Observatory. James already talked about this issue, the challenge and the problem. So the European Commission estimated maybe now, since the Soil Mission Week, even more than 50 billion euro cost per year that is linked with soil degradation. And it also shows that more than 60%, as James also said, of soils in Europe are degraded. So what European Commission does is to invest a lot of money in research, in innovation, to try to reverse this trend and make the soils healthy back in Europe. So
Sorry,
Radu,
I don't know if you are sharing your screen, but I cannot see it. I don't know if I'm the only one with a problem.
The screen is white for now.
Okay.
I can see it. I can see it, but it's in the first page.
Okay, I can see it.
I cannot see it. Maybe it's from my side.
Maybe
You can't
you
hear.
could take it.
I don't know. Maybe the network.
Maybe you can try to unshare and then share again to see if it works. But I'm seeing, so maybe.
I think that Rado is facing some technical problems. Let's just see if he joins us again. Let's just wait 1 more minute. See if he joins us.
Yes, if not, maybe we could pass.
Yeah,
back
to Joana. Yeah. Yes, maybe it's better. Joana? I see he's here.
Sorry, computer crashed during the presentation, so I'll try again. Can you see now?
Yes.
Yes, we can see.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you.
let's hope it stays until later. I will jump a bit about this introduction. Maybe just here that I was saying that European Commission is investing a lot of money in trying to reverse this trend of degradation of soils. But the issue with soil information and data in particular is that it's very hard to find access, reuse. It's very difficult. It doesn't have a long-term availability. The quality and interoperability that James also mentioned, it's a big issue. Then if we put citizen science also here as, let's say, data providers, this is also an issue because even for them to get access to this kind of information is very difficult. It remains isolated. It's hard for others to find access or use the data or even the knowledge about what is the best sampling methods, for example. It's very hard to align how all the citizens' observations fit in this broader spectrum of the policies and EU soil data sets and how they can contribute. So you can feel sometimes that all this effort doesn't have the impact that it should for soil health. So here is where SoilWise comes in. It's a Horizon Europe Mission Soil project started in 2023, and we aim to develop, test, and deliver a prototype for long-term knowledge and data repository, or I would say catalog. And this is, as I said, expected to become part of the European Soil Observatory and then continue, maintain, and run after the end of the project. I won't go into the detail of the methodology, but just so you have an impression, we work in an iterative way in 3 big cycles, and each cycle have 4 phases that repeat. The first phase is designing the prototype, so it's getting requirements from diverse set of stakeholders, and these requirements or needs are then transformed into technical requirements. So these go into the development phase, and this platform is developed with all the components and tools. And then we have a phase of integrating everything together and testing and validating if what we developed fits with these requirements from the beginning. And then we do demonstration events for larger group of stakeholders. And in these demo events, we also get new requirements and we see what we have to improve, where we have to go next. And this repeats like 3 times at the end of the project. And right now we are towards the end of the second big development cycle. It's actually the 3rd prototype. And if you follow us, you will see, we need a lot of stakeholders in the next phases to test, validate what we did, and then to demonstrate. And we have a lot of different requirements coming from many stakeholders. The mission soil projects, when we started the projects, there were like 20 mission soil projects, and there are more than 60, I think, each with their particularities. So it's very challenging to find a way to address everything. Then we have also the European Commission with the JRC and DG Agri and all the other stakeholders that have a really big needs or expectations from this platform. And we have also other stakeholders. We have policymakers, farmers, industry, living labs, and researchers. We don't have citizens as a defined stakeholder group, but of course we have projects in the soil mission projects that deal with this. So like kind of indirectly, we are also addressing them. And what we offer in a simplified way, let's say, is the SoilWise catalog. This is a metadata catalog that tries to harvest all this metadata to get the links to the resources in data sets, knowledge, and all the other aspects about soil. The Soil Companion is an LLM chatbot that is built on top of the catalog to allow an easier, digestible way to retrieve the information. And then the fairness strategy is guidances that we are developing and co-creating together, especially with the Mission Soil Project and the European Commission, but also other stakeholders about how are the best ways to publish the data and knowledge in order to make this happen. Because what I will try to show is that we can build the most impressive AI-driven tool. If the community is not aligned and involved, it will not work. It's really about working together with all the stakeholders. And just to give a bit some ideas why this is important, we want to make things fair. So if you look at findable and accessible, a big issue is that most of researchers, for example, they use still Google to find the information, but then you find, like, for example, for this agroforestry example, you find predatory journals or not interesting or important, relevant resources. It's a lot of junk there. Then if you go to some websites from past projects, for example, what often happens is these websites have died or got hijacked or taken up by something else that is not relevant. So this is a big issue about how persistent and how long-term this information stays. And then if you go also in the interoperability, James also tries to, I think, work with the citizen science data, it gets even more complicated. There's so many standards, and every time somebody thinks like, let's make a standard to get all the standards into one, and then you just end up with yet another standard. And there's also these vocabularies. There's a lot of ontologies and vocabularies that could be used, but still a lot of researchers don't use, which makes very complicated that all these very heterogeneous data can be reused. It's a big challenge in the soil community. And now, very shortly, to present what we did until now in the first 2 prototypes, and shortly about what is the technology and then the community behind. Try to make it like a high-level overview. So what we do is we are targeting some trusted long-term repositories where we find the resources, and we automatically harvest the metadata. So this is the information of the data. This is put in the metadata catalog. We also use some different tools, components that we are developing to enrich this and make it better and more available. So we use AI and machine learning and other kind of tools for this. And then we have also another side where we're building a knowledge graph and an LLM on top of this catalog to enhance the findability and accessibility of all these resources. But it's very important to know that SoilTribes doesn't store any data set or documents or anything like this. So it really just links everything together. So you would have to imagine that we aim to make like a platform where all the stakeholders that are interested in soil are trusting to go there because they know that all information comes together from different repositories. And then what you can do now, if you go to the catalog, you can use the keywords in the search bar and then find the resources, and then you have all kind of filters and other ways to find what you're interested in. And we're also building that LLM on top. It's now not yet linked, it's in development, but then you can use natural language to find information. What's different from all the other, let's say, AI tools there is that it's based on the information from the SoilTribes catalog. So, and also when you ask something and you get the responses, you get the sources and the documents that it's based on. So it's a bit more context specific and, let's say, trusted and more transparent than normal AIs. But of course, we cannot compete with the giants of this world of OpenAI and so forth. And it's also not our goal. And if you see this green line on the left is more higher TRL level. So these are very quite robust technologies that are deployed. And on the right side is more research and innovative things that we are developing. But all this information is out there available to go into details if you really want to go into the nitty-gritty aspects. And actually now we are kind of at a spot when we're trying to see ourselves, and then with the European Commission and with the stakeholders, what do we want from this SoilTribes catalog? The extreme is that we want to have the Google of soil. So we have everything that you can imagine for soil that can be found in this catalog. This includes junk, but also all the relevant information. And then it's very tricky from a technological point of view how to optimize the search functionality to when you search something, you get the relevant things on top. Or on the other extreme, to have a very curated soil information where you have to have some more people to go through these resources and kind of select like these are the most high value, these are the most relevant. This would give maybe more trust and maybe higher quality content, but you risk to miss a lot of things that will not come into the catalog. And of course, we want to make this as automatic as possible to harvest this automatically, to not have to do it manually. So we are now talking about this governance of these harvesting pipelines. And of course, it's also the European Commission which tells us and the projects that all these outputs that are generated by the project should come to this catalog. Why? Because this is a chance to not lose them after the end of the projects. That's, I think, the priority number one. It doesn't matter if it's a data set, a video, a document, a policy brief, everything can be published in a way that it's persistent and fair, and it can be for a long time in this catalog and later in the European Soil Observatory. So just to give the example with the mission soil projects, how we work is that we go to the SDAC list where all the soil mission projects are there, and we get the grant agreement number. So then we use this tag to go to OpenAIR, which is a repository that harvests thousands of other repositories. And this is how we know that these resources that are in open air are fitting to this project so we can get them to SoilWise. Otherwise, we would have to harvest everything, which is not feasible. Or we go to other project platforms and repositories and we look at the DOI of the project and we harvest it this way. So this assures that the Mission Soil project outputs come to the SoilWise catalog, are centralized there. The issue is if a person who manages these records at the Mission Soil projects forgets or avoids to put the grant agreement in the metadata, this resource will not go to the SoilWise because this is the way how it gets. So here I want to show that it's so important to align and work with everybody to make this happen, because I mean we can build these harvesting pipelines. If something like this is not done, you'll think like, where is my record? I published it, let's say in Zenodo, like you said in your guidances, but I still don't find it in SoilWise. And then maybe you did your due diligence to put it in a persistent repository to write your metadata. You looked at all the repositories that we are harvesting and you chose one, but sorry. But even a simple thing like forgetting to put in the grant agreement number in the metadata will lead to not having these records there. Here maybe a really small demo of how the catalog goes. You can always go to it. This is just an example we did in the Soil Mission project. There's a project Marvik, also another Soil Mission project. So this is the interface. See, you use keywords to find information. Then you can sort by title and date. You can apply spatial filters to see only the results in a specific area. You can use facets filters to select from reports, datasets, and other things that are there. In this case, there are 4 datasets from this project. And once you click on one, you get to this page where you get all the metadata that was done by this project. So here you see all the information about this data set. And for example, here with the links, we use some tools to show that these links are alive, that this data set is there, it's still correct or updated. So you have all the information that with 2 more clicks you can download the data. So once you go to this link, now you're leaving SoilWise and you go to the source repository, in this case Zenodo. So as you see, we just linked it with where the dataset is. We don't store it. So we also maybe I can go back. Was a bit too fast. We also have this feedback tool. So please feel free to go to our catalog, go through it, and always can put us here feedback. It's always taken in account in the next development cycles and new ideas. We are working on the different user interface. So all this input help us a lot in developing the tool. Yeah. It's very important to say what SoilWise does and doesn't do. I'll start with what doesn't do. We don't copy or store any data. We don't control it, so we don't look at it and we say this is good or bad. Data is data. If it's from a soil mission project or from relevant sources that we are targeting repositories, we're not the ones to judge it. We don't steal it or we don't use it without permission. If we want to use it for a demonstration, we will ask the owner. What we do want is to provide a single access point to soil data and knowledge. Very important, and knowledge, so it goes beyond data. All kind of knowledge is everything that is not data, so it can even be video, document, PowerPoint presentation, really everything. To index the available data and knowledge, to connect with other catalogs. So a lot of projects are building their own catalogs on specific, like say soil pollution, so then we can just harvest this catalog. And in the end, we want to make the data providers and users' lives easier with this tool. And now, maybe to see what is the point with citizen science, because probably until now was not very clear. So projects like this one from the EU Mission Soil are involved with citizen science. So their outputs could also be published, that they come to the SoilWise catalog. So then all this information is then available to the catalog, can be citizen science data repository, can be educational resources, can be protocols about sampling, can be even artistic outputs, soil literacy materials, knowledge by the community. All these things that the projects produce can be available in the catalog. To this, also the other projects that will come and work on citizen science on soil adds up, and also other Horizon Europe projects. So we're not looking only at the soil mission project, but here crops, of course, because also what they are developing can all be brought in the catalog. And why does that matter? I think like citizens, when they engage in citizen science, they're actually researchers. They produce data, they produce knowledge. They just need a platform that intermediates this work. So it's not, I mean, if they really want, they can do the entire process of publishing in, for example, Zenodo and get their data like this in the catalog, but mostly they work in frameworks, projects like James also presented, that they do the following word of putting their data and knowledge in persistent repositories that they can go to EUSO. So then the responsibility of this due diligence goes to the projects to put their grant agreement number and all the other things. And all this information that is produced come to this catalog, and some researcher or other stakeholders might go and look for different soil information and find these outputs that come from the citizens very valuable. And and then they can create publication, policy briefs, other documentation. So actually it helps to show that the citizens that they were engaged in these activities created impact. So I think it's nice for the citizens to also see their contribution, to feel that they're part of this soil mission in Europe, and that they can really help. So I think in this way, we can really show to them that they are part of all this great effort to reverse the soil degradation in Europe. And they're also providing data in this let's say catalog, and through all these like knowledge platform, they can also receive knowledge. So they can use directly the catalog to receive information if somebody looks for the best protocol they want to use for soil sampling in their backyard. But they can also, for example, with the LLM chatbot, get information about soil health, how they can improve it, what they can do in their one small thing to improve the soil health locally. So they're both data providers and users in this case. And we're working now, and maybe James, we need to talk about this. We're working on fair guidances that we're gonna release by the end of this month, and then we're gonna test and validate with stakeholders, mainly with the Mission Soil project and researchers, but not only, and also with the chatbot LLM. It's going to be available for testing and validation in the next period. And my end message is that in order to develop a useful and functional soil data and knowledge infrastructure, the collaboration efforts and benefits from the outcomes need to be mutual for all involved stakeholders. So we're always looking to what everybody has to win from this, and we realized from the first prototype that this cannot succeed without the proactive involvement from all the stakeholders, the data providers especially, but also the users and how they want to use this catalog. And of course, together with the European Soil Observatory, which will take this into their infrastructure and continue, which for us, of course, it's a high motivation, because we see that this project will not end after the official end of the project. And if you want to go to our website, you can find already demo events from the past prototype for different target groups. We don't have one for citizens, maybe we should. Then you can go to the repository, to the catalog, and play with it and give us feedback there. And if you really want to go into more the technical information, what's in the backbone and what's behind this platform, you can also go to GitHub, where we put all the information about the architecture and the technical components that are developed and how they work. We're also gonna have a more layman's person guide about this platform. And yeah, I'm here on behalf of all the colleagues that are working on this project, which I'm very grateful for. I think that's it. Thanks for your attention.
Thank you, Radu. Now I think that Joanna, it's your turn.
Sorry, Carolina. I think that we have some questions. At least one question for Radu from Jennifer in the chat. So maybe it would be the time so I don't know if Jennifer wants to put the question, or maybe I can read it. The question is, will all these references, websites, organizations, projects, repositories be linked to us later?
If I understand correctly the question, yeah, this is like everything is open, and you can go and see what is already there in SoilTribes catalog, and also equally important what it's not there, and you can write us and you can investigate why is it not there. It's still, so we're in the second development cycle. We have another one until we give it to EUSO, so we're working hard to get this robust one. But we saw, as I hopefully was clear in the presentation, that we have to put equal effort to get the people together and align with everybody. But everything is available. You can go to the website and find all the documents.
Perfect, thank you. And also there is a request for contact from...
Yes, from Fenja.
Yeah, but maybe then, Fenia, you could then invite Radu and James on LinkedIn and directly talk, or see the emails. I believe that maybe we will share the information, so then you can exchange ideas and opportunities.
Sorry? Thank you. Oh, so where should I go? After that. Okay, next one. Yes.
So, Joanna, it's your turn. Feel free to share your screen.
Yes, I'm going to share my screen. So it's going to be much more ground, I'll say, without making a pun, and a bit more low tech and small scale. But here we go. So thank you for joining us today. I'll present shortly our project, the Living Soils Lab. As I presented earlier, I'm part of a non-profit called UMAREL. It's a collective empowering citizens to shape and steward urban commons. And our work in citizen science actually began with reclaiming an inclusive public square that you see on the picture right now. And while we were working with citizens, one question was sparked, which was, if a place feels good, for instance, does that mean it's healthy? And from there, with this question on mind, we started to collectively investigate on the role of soil in the health of our urban environments. And we got the opportunity to be funded by Impetus for Citizen Science, which provides an accelerator for young citizen science projects. So as images sometimes say more than words, I'd like to share with you a short video presenting the project and our activities. Please let me know if it's not working, either the sound or yes, so let's try to make it work.
The Living Soils Lab is a citizen science initiative dedicated to urban soils health. We are UMAREL Collective, a group of architects, designers, and urban planners working in the city of Pantin, nearby Paris. And with this project, our idea is to go further in this exploration of our territory by digging underground. In the Living Soils Lab project, the idea is to bring together a group of citizens we are used to work with, including women, people coming from migrant backgrounds, basically the citizens of this neighborhood that is called the Quatre Chemins, that have no scientific knowledge of their environment, but have a really deep connection with the site. This idea is that they can be themselves also scientists by actionate new type of knowledge, going on the ground and getting a new connection with the city and their own territory and neighborhood. With the program Impetus, for us it was a great chance. First, because of this idea that we can get some type of training with a mentor that was helping us in this process of getting into the scientific world. It was also an interesting way to bridge our connection with the landscape and translate it into a more scientific approach. With the Living Soils Lab, the idea is not only to state the health of the ground, but the idea is to bring a better understanding of what we're stepping on and into, which means that the citizens that we are working with get this new agency in their environment. They get a better understanding of what can be done with this soil. Is it healthy? If it's not healthy, what can we do all together? So the whole idea is that we can bring this circle of knowledge and this circle of action in the future. With this project, we are creating a better and long-lasting relationship with the citizen scientists that we are really happy to have around us.
All right. Oh. Seems like I can't escape. No, I can. All right. I think some slides. Yes, all right. So from the video, you have a better understanding of what is the Living Soils Lab. So I'll go shortly over those slides. But I want to emphasize that our project really work closely with vulnerable communities in the Paris suburban areas. So mostly women and youth. That we are working with as part of other activities we're leading in those neighborhoods. Our aim is to evaluate, of course, the soil health, but also bringing understanding of what are the connected ecosystem services that the soil brings. And we have a focus on post-industrial sites. The whole idea with the citizens is trying to build capacity among local residents and having an informed policy around climate resilience and environmental justice. So just to give you a bit of an idea of the context we are in, the project currently takes place in 3 cities just outside Paris. It's mostly on the northeast side. We have the city of Pantin, Montreuil, and Bondy, and historically this area form what we could call the industrial backdoor of the city of Paris. Sorry, because of that past, the urban landscape today is very mixed. We can have social housing, modest industrial era buildings, abandoned factory sites, just like what you see, and brownfield, which are all side by side. And the population living there is partly vulnerable because this district has some of the highest unemployment and lowest income levels in the region, and they are also home to many people living in difficult administrative situation, including migrants. At the same time, those areas hold enormous potential. They include many former industrial sites that have become, for some places for experimentation, mostly urban agriculture, and that movements is not new, which is quite interesting. It connects to a long local tradition of workers' garden that is still present in this area. So in practice, what do we do? And during each session, we work directly in the field on different types of sites. As I mentioned, in abandoned industrial lands, recently untilled soil, but also place where there's local urban farming. And together with the participants, with the neighbors, we collect both qualitative and quantitative data using simple but quite meaningful, I think, scientific methods. We always keep it clear that we are not a professional lab, and the tests that we are running, they are just give them a first picture of the situation, which can then lead to further investigations. We start by looking at the past, researching historical land use to understand what happened on the site before. And that's a very important moment, as is the start, because all the citizens can come with images of the site, of the previous use, come with a lot of information that otherwise you don't have access to. So that's a very important start. And then we observe what's happening in the present. So participants identify plants, examine the soil profiles, look at the root structures, look at the earthworm presence and the depth of the topsoil layer. We are also running some basic tests, including pH measurements, but just to assess the soil chemistry. So all these methods, they were developed collaboratively, and this thanks to discussions with soil scientists from notably the CEREMA or the French Association of Soil. And we also used pre-existing open access resources. So we can see that there's some connection in between the previous presentation. As we are not soil scientists ourselves, we try to keep the protocol as accessible as possible for us, but also for the communities to learn, practice, and repeat independently, so outside of the session. Alongside the scientific work, we integrate a more emotional and embodied dimension inspired by Joanna Macy framework, so called the work that reconnects. For this part of the project, we collaborate with an art therapist in residency named Margot Ribocourt, who guides participants through a structural process. So it begins with coming from gratitude. So we start by acknowledging what nourishes, the connections, the memory, and the landscape that give us strength. This sets quite a positive foundation instead of beginning from fear of urgency, because when we start with the citizens' science part, so the more scientific part, we end up sometimes with results that brings a lot of fear or a lot of mixed feelings, and bringing in some art therapy is really helping. So starting with gratitude is the first step. The second step, it's about inviting to recognize and express the feelings that are sometimes unspoken. So grief, frustration, anger. The goal is to acknowledge those feelings, but in a collective way. And then we really try to go from those feelings towards communal action and a positive outcome. So we are trying to turn the reflections that we had with the participants to a collective symbolic gesture. So in our case, after the somatic work that we do with sculpture linked to art therapy, then after we just plant some mustard seeds that are known for phytoremediation properties. So here are some pictures and video of participants who've been doing the first part of the workshop, which is linked to soil assessment, and then on the second part, working on those wood sticks that we will plant for growing some phytoremediating plants. To give you just a short idea of who are the participants, so they are mainly residents from those areas, and how did we got in touch with them while we are working in those areas first? So we're nonprofits working with citizens, so it was quite easy compared to some groups that were mainly scientists and maybe not from a certain area. And we really worked with over nonprofits and social organizations social centers, community networks, in order to really engage with diverse group of participants. And after now 2 years, we could engage about 140 participants, mainly women, and a lot of elderly, because we also work during sometimes working hours, which doesn't give the opportunity for younger people to join the sessions. And these participants, they're not just observing, they're quite involved, and we have quite some number of returning participants from a session to another side. So that's also a good part, and bringing in the artistic approaches also brought new participants, but gave envy for previous participants to join again and see those exercises in another way. So just to conclude with this project, our goal is to work directly with the local communities, especially those who are often more exposed to environmental change. And we invite them to take part in the process as citizen scientists, so they can explore key issues like public health and climate resilience. And by doing this together, we are not just generating information, we're trying to build confidence, we are trying to create agency and ability for them to make informed decisions. So we're previously talking about policy reports. We are trying to give communities the tool to that they might need to advocate for a meaningful change on the local level. So what's coming next for this small-scale citizen science program? We are now running training for adult educators that are not working in the citizen science or art therapy, but are adult educators working on other nonprofits, social organizations, and we'll have public events connecting all the artworks that we've been doing with the citizens all together in one site. We are also part of the French Soil Orchestra, so trying also to scale our network with other groups, trying to develop soil literacy through art. And from this experiment, we're trying also to have a thinking about what we are doing. So this year we've been doing a research exchange with a collective in Barcelona to see how citizen science and local knowledge can bring action towards policymakers, and working together with them between citizens, policymakers, and local organization. Thank you very much for your attention. If you want to follow more about the Living Soils Lab, please follow us on Instagram. Also get in touch with our art therapists, and yes, you can email us at this address. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We have some questions here in the chat, and there's also Julia that raised her hand. I don't know if James or Paulina wants to make their questions directly to Joanna, or...
I was just wondering who your mentor was. It wasn't it's a bit of a...
So this year is Claire Naraway. I think she's working with you, right?
Yeah, I know.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes, exactly.
I thought it might be. Yeah. Right.
I see. What motivates participation? How do you ensure that they are returning, or if easier to respond, what demotivates them? So there's a lot of people who are participating to those activities as a random activity, let's say. I want to be honest also. There's a lot of people who are coming out of curiosity, they do it once and then they don't want to come back. So what motivates them is if they have close connection to the land we are working in. So, for instance, people engaging with urban agriculture, working on a site specifically. Also, we are only on the second year, so the returning, we could measure it only, I think, in the next 2 years maybe, but people returning are also interested with this novelty, including art therapy, or bringing a new lens to the citizen science experiments we're doing. They are also interested actually to share the knowledge to others. We had people returning in order to share with some other family members or friends. So that's also another take. And what demotivates them, I think we are really lucky outside of Paris. We have a lot of possibility and a lot of activities. So sometimes having so many options leads to not being able to join everything. Also, another point is being outside. Sometimes it's quite hard, and also I think what demotivates them could be the lack of rewarding. So that's why we're always trying to either organize. Last time we organized a local exhibition with the community so they could showcase the results. This time we're doing collective artwork. We are always trying to find some way of rewarding. So I think that's also one part that could bear its fruits. I hope I understood well the question.
Yes, you have another question in the chat. It is, how do you fund your project? Is it a funded project or a local one?
Yes, so both. We got the opportunity to apply to a cascading fund called Impetus for Citizen Science, which gave us 2 years. So we applied a first year for a startup project, which gave us the opportunity to have a mentor, to have some basic toolkit to start off. And then we had a second year now. We are at the end. We currently apply to local fundings as well on the theme of One Health. That is at the center of our program, I would say. And then currently we're trying to apply to Horizon funds, but the thing is that we are small nonprofit. We're 2 people working full time, so we are not ready for this type of EU funded projects unless we are a pilot site. So yes, this is how we fund our project, but it's very liminal. And in the upcoming year, would love to have new person being part of the program as a resident, someone bringing a new outtake to what we do, but let's see if we can keep going. Yes, so a mix of cascading funds plus local one.
Thank you. Julia, I don't know if you...
Yeah, so yeah, thanks a lot. It's very, very inspiring. You use also a lot of methods that are not, I mean, they're just going beyond citizen science, like the strict way, right? Art and yeah, just outreach, a lot of, yeah, super nice. I will contact you later. I was wondering, do you use the data that you collect with the citizens, like really for scientific research or?
So we've been putting all the data on Zenodo, though we are also talking with the French scientific organizations, and they're currently starting to develop a map, if I'm correct, to cross all those data. We have been also exhibiting the data that we've been collecting all together. I have to say though that this is not necessarily the main aim of our project. And so far, we've been asking also some scientific organization, what would be the data that would be interesting for your research, and they are interested, but so far we haven't really like connected the dots between what we were collecting and where it could lead, basically.
Yeah. Okay, I understand. And just sorry, do you have somewhere where you have the protocols that you use?
Yes, it's on our website.
Can you put the website in the chat maybe, because
yes,
I was looking and now I
of course, and we've been using also super open access websites, sharing data and sharing methods. So it's not methods that we created from scratch. We really worked on something that was already there. But yes, sure, I will share on the chat.
Thank you. Yeah, I found them. Thank you.
I see also another question. We are an art organization based in Istanbul and thinking very similar with Living Soils Lab project. My question is how long the artists work with the community, and could you please share the email address from here as well? Okay, yes, sure. So we, because we had really not so much money, we proposed the artists to work with the community for 3 to 4 months. We are currently extending the time, which is very nice because we could extend a little bit the budget. And basically, we started to work together on creating the methodology that she will be using and trying to articulate between science and art how it could work, because it's not very simple when you already have your protocol to bring another layer to it and making it flowy during the session, basically. So we worked first on this, and which took maybe a month, and now it's been 4 months that we have been doing this residency with this artist. She's coming and going. She's not only working on the program, but yes, that's how much we can do for now. But we would like it to be longer for sure.
There's Amando here that raised his hand. I don't know if.
Can you hear me?
Yes, perfect.
Okay. So I see some familiar faces, and my question is maybe for the three of you, because we now, I think it was Hadu, I hope I said your name right, that said that we have about like 60 projects now on soil health through the Mission Soil. And a lot of us are doing some similar things. Some of us are doing new things. Besides those, joining each other's Zoom, here's Teams or Zoom meetings or each other's newsletters. What are some of the things that work for you so we can join and have synergies between projects and can help each other on the success of our project?
Maybe I can respond because you say my name. Just to give an example, in the commission, we co-chair data cluster, and actually there are now, I think, 6 different clusters with the Mission Soil projects, but they're open to not only Mission Soil projects. So all these clusters have topics. They're clustered on indicators, clustered on communication and stakeholder engagement. We are co-chairing with JRC the cluster on data and knowledge management, and that's one way to bring together people, projects, stakeholders together to exchange and align. And of course, it's very difficult. Like you said, it's more than 60 projects. So it's very difficult to do this in person, but sometimes we try to do it because we saw we need to sit together and work together and present less and talk more and work in smaller groups and focus groups. So that's what we're doing now in beginning of December in such a cluster. So that's one way. Others ways, I'm not sure, but I think we need more ways to communicate and exchange.
Thank you. I don't know if anyone has more questions to our speakers. Okay, I will share my screen now. Can you see it? Puku, please go ahead.
Yeah, okay, so, I'm very happy to join you. I'm joining you from very far. I'm in Africa. I'm joining you from Kenya in a refugee camp, Kakuma. So here also we do projects related to soil. I think I applied once for the project, and I was supposed to for bottom-up project, and I was supposed to go into Portugal, but due to documentation, I wasn't able to go because I didn't have a lot of things. So I don't know whether, cause I know whenever you applied for a project, then you are chosen to be among the shortlisted or the nominees. So you have to go for meetup. So I was asking whether you can provide passports, or you can help in the process of getting a passport. Because I once had once been a winner of the project, and I was supposed to go to Portugal, but due to documentation, I wasn't able. Thank you.
Thank you, Radu. I will see that questions. I will answer you via email. If you can send us an email with that information, I will give you a more detailed answer. I don't know if...
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
So can I share my email with you, or how can
Yes,
I
you
do
can put it in the chat.
that? Okay, no problem.
Or I can give you, I will share in the chat the email, our email of the COP members, and then you can send me an email. Thank you.
I'm a member of the SoilTribes, so
exactly. Thank you.
Let me share the email, or you can share and then I can pick it up.
Okay, thank you. I don't know if anyone has more questions. So to gather your feedback from this session, I hope that you can see my screen. We are sharing with you a feedback form to understand what we have learned during this meeting. Please feel free to scan the QR code and fill out the form. And I think that Sarah already put the link in the chat. You can fill the form now or after the meeting, because we are going to share via email also the form, so you can provide and help us understand what we can improve and what we have all learned during this session. I will give you 5 minutes to do it, maybe. I will wait a little bit. So I think that we can move now. I don't know if you have here Sylvia from Youth Makers Hub. But it's time for our photo, but I can take it. So if you want, please turn your cameras on. This is the right moment to do it and to stay pretty. So I will wait. I see that some people are turning the camera on. So smile. I will do it again because I want to make sure that everyone looks nice. Just a second. Ooh. Another one, smile again. Perfect. Just 1 second, I'm just going to save. Perfect. And you are able to see my screen again, right?
Yes.
Perfect. So another point, and before ending this meeting, another important point is for you not to forget to join the movement, to scan the QR code, and to sign the Mission Soil Manifesto and show your dedication to soil health. Another point that I want to highlight, it's our upcoming events. We are going to have 2 events, one this year and the other one next year. On the 10th of December, you are going to be able to join us to the second cross-fertilization workshop. It is going to be online on the 10th of December, and it's going to be focused on engaging small business, farmers, and agriculture advisors. And another important event that is going to happen next year in February, it's the Introdanças Festival that it's going to be in Portugal. Regarding these events, we are going to give you more information very soon. And don't forget to stay connected with SoilTribes. Please scan the QR code to access our website, to subscribe our newsletter, to learn more about the projects and the opportunities and updates. And if you want to see your face on our social media, don't forget to follow us and to see the developments of the project. And I think that's all for today. Thank you for joining us. I really enjoyed the meetup, and I hope that you too. And have a nice weekend.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Have a nice weekend.
See you soon.
Thank you for
Bye-bye.
having us.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.